co-host.
I made co-host to all of you. We are still not live. It is showing live, but not yet. Okay. Yes, we are on.
Warm greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching and
not yet. Recording start करना. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Huh? You have
okay.
to recording start.
Mansi, do you pin also?
Pardon? No, I'm not
pin?
No, I'm not. But we can. I just want to give that responsibility to someone and.
Warm greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. This session is conducted with the support of Water Resource Council of the Women Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and in collaboration with W4W Foundation and media partner Counterview. My name is Anubhuti Shekhar and I am the National Youth Representative Community of Wiki Water Resource Council. I am joined by Dr. Swayam Prabhadar, the National Representative, National Outreach of Wiki Water Resource Council. Welcome, Swayam. We are glad to start the conversation, namely Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, which we colloquially refer as Blue Live. The conversation is aimed to share the worries and the wisdom by the women for the women in the water sector. In here, we hope to learn about water endeavors of the women in a regular disciplined manner like a masterclass. As we complete 200 water conversation today through Wednesday for Water, Friday Water, and Monday Munching or Musing with Women for Water, we welcome you to this day to listen and know more about Dr. Mansi Bal Bhargav. She is transdisciplinary learner of the built environment that includes architecture, urban design, planning, management, and governance of large-scale development. Her engagement of nearly 3 decades through entrepreneurship, research, education, speaking, and mentoring towards sustainability and livability has carved out a niche for her as a person who is concerned about water worries and is keen to learn and share the water wisdom. Dr. Mansi Bal Bhargav currently holds the position of National President of Wiki Water Resource Council. She is a director of W4W Foundation. Welcome, Dr. Mansi, to this session. I would request Swayam Prabha ma'am to take forward the conversation.
Thank you so much, Anubhuti. And I'm so happy to be here today and to be in a conversation with Mansi. So Mansi, so today you're on the other side of the table. How does it feel to begin with?
Yes.
Are you nervous?
Thank you, Swayam, and thank you, Anubhuti. Pardon?
Are you nervous that you're on the other side?
Yes, to be honest.
All right. So we'll make it a little chatty. I will make it a little conversations with you. And tell us, how did you become a part of Wiki WRC, the president? What is your role and your responsibilities in this position, Mansi?
Good question. Thank you so much, Anubhuti, also for taking these sessions for so many weeks and months now with me. And today you have me on the other side. And thanks, Swayam, for initiating that you would like to have this conversation. Yes. So Wiki Water Resource Council, as we know that Wiki stands for Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And it was actually there for quite some time. I wasn't aware of it, I will be honest. And Bhakti started the Water Resources Council 3 years ago. And when her tenure was getting over last year, she actually asked me if I would like to lead the council. And in the previous council, we were quite a bit of women up, to be honest. And I didn't know what was the procedure, but since she asked me to take it over, I just took it over with open arms. And here I am, and you were there with me from, I think, week 1 or month 1 when we started forming the new council. So I
Absolutely.
didn't really compete with anybody, to be honest. It was just offered and I just took it.
But that's a great spirit of taking it on, Mansi, because it comes with a lot of responsibilities.
Yes.
And it's, I have seen you, and all of us have seen you. It's a lot of connections, it's a lot of networking, it's a lot of working with each individual, which is like, how many? We are 75 of us women.
And now 93. We just touched 93.
See how we have grown, and you are in touch with everybody, and that's remarkable, Mansi. You have done a very, very thorough job as the president, and my applause to you here for such a
Thank you
great
so
job
much.
that you're doing and bringing all the women across the country together, and to all your hard work. Tell me, Mansi, what binds you to water? Like, I hear that you've been like working in this sector forever and forever. So tell us a bit about what binds you to water. What makes you so charged and so passionate about the whole water sector?
And I also don't know answer to this question. I will be very honest. But yeah, yes, I grew up in rural Bengal, in Chobish Pargana, not far from Bangladesh. And my whole day used to be around water, pukur, or, all this wastewater and farmland with my nani. But then when I got into our undergraduate, my first introduction to my passion was a book, very well-known book in architecture, and that's called Landscape Architecture by, John Ormsby Simons. And it was such a beautifully crafted book with beautiful sketches and all in landscape. And I just fell in love. And I did my first assignment on water. So we were asked to take up one landscape element and write an essay. And I did on water. And of course, I got good marks. And as a young graduate, what would you like? You would like to get good grades in everything. But then that led to my final year thesis, which was also on the Bhopal lakefront. And with no offense to anybody, but I was really pushed to build a building where I was not willing to build a building because my site was just the nala of the lake. But anyway, I did the thesis. I wasn't happy, but I knew that I did something wrong in my final year thesis. Got to my postgraduate thesis, I again took a water body, knowing or unknowingly, I don't know. But then I was introduced to very nice books on urban design and landscape. And the game changer for all landscape and architecture planning students is Design with Nature. That's Ian L. Makhar. That time also I was very discouraged in postgraduate not to work on water because water is not a development subject. It's not a subject of urban design. It's not a subject of architecture. So I should be building something, developing something rather than protecting the lake. And I was almost about to fail in postgraduate. But when I entered for my defense in postgraduate, I came out as a distinction student. Again, as a young graduate, what would you like? You would like to be known that your work is acknowledged, your work is appreciated. And that year, luckily or unluckily, Ahmedabad got flooded. All the lakes were dry. The river was dry. And the water was everywhere there, whether it should be where it should be. So my thesis was used as a reference to set up a PIL at High Court of Gujarat. So I really got very charged. कि नहीं कुछ तो अच्छा किया होगा, भले कॉलेज में हमको प्रमोट नहीं किया, अप्रिशिएट नहीं किया, फेल किया, सब कुछ करने की कोशिश हुई. कोशिश तो नहीं बोलूंगी, but it was out of the subject of urban design planning. But then we ran a movement, and I think that is where the little activism seed was sown. We ran a PIL for many years. I was not the forefront. Our dean and other professors and activists were there, but it was used heavily. National TV, Ye TV, Wo magazine, Aisa Vaisa Aaya, and then the story is all at the background. Now, so you just call me in the middle of the night and just use the word water, and I'm charged. I don't know when it happened. But I think those rebel nature, when I was wanting to do something and I was pushed not to do that, really made me think hard that there is something which I must do where people are not telling me to do. अब थोड़ा सा है अंदर एक rebel nature, करें क्या उसका? So I just nurtured it.
Fantastic, Mansi. So, I feel that lakes are very close to you in that case. Water bodies, lakes, Pokhur,
Yes,
yeah. And
absolutely.
architect has rightly said, we don't kind of look at water bodies around. And yes, water has not been a development subject in a long time. But I think now it's becoming more or less, it's being accepted as one of the areas of
Yes,
concern. And they are bringing that as part of the discourse, which is very, very interesting.
absolutely.
So you have worked for so many years with so many people. Has somebody influenced you? Do you have any role models as such who you
Oh,
like to be about, or who you would like to imbibe, or something like that? Who actually influenced you?
I will say two people, to be honest. Of course, among the many people with whom I have worked across the world. But when I was doing my postgraduate thesis, reading Anil Agarwal ji and reading Anupam Mishra in those days were highly influencing. I mean, I could see how very simply they could write, and they could talk about this, this being in danger, and what we need to be done. But the game changing in my life is working with Nobel laureate Elinor Ostrom during my PhD.
Wow.
So
How was
all
it?
these years, pardon?
How was it working with a Nobel laureate?
Yes, I'm coming to that. All these years, because I did my PhD 15 years late than my undergraduate, and working as a consultant and, all kinds of research and everything. But when I decided to do my PhD, I was writing my proposal on water, water, and water. So I have 5 degrees, and all degrees thesis are on water. So undergraduate, say postgraduate, I have just worked on and around the lakes. So that was not intentional, but it just happened. But when I was writing my PhD proposal, I was guided from TU Delft to refer to Elinor Ostrom's work. And I did refer. And I think that time I learned a very important lesson of life. And then you can actually realize why I work like this now. The biggest lesson from my PhD was water management does not require water to be managed. It requires people management. So for me, it is a simple line. Water management is people management. So better focus on people and not on the water itself. So I feel very proud to say that I have not developed a single lake in the country. And that is always my opening remark for all the public speeches I give on water and lakes. And I will stay proud that I have not developed the way lakes are getting developed. So when you talked about that water is in the discourse now, yes, it is. But unfortunately, it is still not matured to the level where waterscapes or water developments are should be seen the way it should be, because still water developments are done by architects, planners, and economist thinking and political thinking, but not really ecological or let's say limnological or hydrological or biological thinking. So I mean, I realize that unless and until we change the mind of people, I think water is not going to be managed the way it should be. So Elinor really, really helped me to understand that. And I mean, most of us know her work a lot, I mean, thoroughly. But when she talks about water, not directly, but through the commons, she talks about governing the commons. And most of it is about governing the people. Whether you talk about how to make resource management successful, it is about how to work together. So the whole idea of collective action, she debunked, whether you talk about Hardin or anything. But I think when I was working with her, I learned how important it is, because her way of working itself was a collective way of working. The Ostrom's workshop, it is not an institute. So everybody can chip in some part of their wisdom and some part of their scholarship, and really something new will come up. And I think that was my second year of PhD, and it was right at the right time, because otherwise I would have ended up doing a PhD on managing water. So I eventually really focused on the governance part of it. It was very new in India that time. Wherever I went to do my interviews and surveys, everybody used to give a lot of data about lake, but not much data about governance. And I knew that there is a huge gap, because I wish to talk about what we are doing, not what lake is doing, or what is happening to the lake. And there are not much data on governance. So that's why I started thinking about awareness, education, awakening, and not do much on the water body itself. I strongly believe not doing is the biggest contribution to water bodies nowadays.
Very interesting thought. But then sometimes, there's so much happening around it. People are not letting it be the way it should be. So
Yes,
we have to intervene. We have to come and we have to take some remedial actions, right? And
yes,
women have been at the forefront and driving that thought, that spirit. Because as we know that, women are the custodians of water, if I may say so rightfully. So how
yes.
has your experience and your thinking about women leadership in the water sector? And what do you think, and how do you think the society should change its opinion about women being the decision makers at the helm of things? So what's your thought around it, Mansi?
I want to give you two examples from my own learning so far. It is still a work in progress, but as you know, Wiki Water Resource Council, I'm trying to interact with all of you. Then I'm doing another similar study on women in built environment, where I'm trying to get in architects and planners and designers from my own field, where I have, studied. But when I see all the lake developments and river developments and major water projects in the country, and I link with what women are saying, I can so well correlate with the way I think the way things should be. Not to my surprise, not much of the lake developments and even waterfront developments are done by women. So even if they are not showing explicitly, as I say, that I believe in no lakefront or waterfront development, and I believe in no design or development for water bodies, at least most of the women whom I have come across, they have an ecological inclination. They think about it, and they definitely do not advocate the way waterfront developments or water developments are happening in the country. So that gives me a lot of confirmation in the way I think. Maybe I'm too loud, but in the way things are going wrong in a very patriarchal or masculine way of development. To me, development has become now synonym to masculinity or patriarchy, because if we are doing so much of development and still we are having water crisis, and the same goes to economy, if we are increasing so much of economy and still half the country sleeps and eats barely, then we need to really re-question the way we are looking at it. So if I talk to women, I hear that implicitly in them, that they are concerned with the way water subjects are taken up. And I also see their work, especially in built environment, when I have interviewed nearly 50 women now, like Water Resource Council, I have found out that many of the women have diverted from the built architecture to, architecture of ecology, architecture of, let's say empathy. So like some people are working on women matter, some people are working on children matter. So there is something inherent. I am not a kind of a biologist or, anthropologist to talk about it, but definitely there is something inherent in women or genetics in women where we are more caretaker uh, towards environment. We have more empathy towards environment, probably. That is why it comes natural to us. So I know many women who have diverted from their hardscape of built environment to softscapes. Many women even do landscape architecture, for that matter. I was motivated to do landscape architecture, but my other half is a landscape architect, and he has groomed me a lot in the initial years of my making. So getting, straight lessons from my own husband, day in and out, what is good for ecology and all, has definitely shaped the way I look at things. So I will say it is not about being woman or man. It is about the way we look at environment, or about the way we look at ecology. Importantly, in my case, the way we look at water. Unless and until we stop teaching water is equal to H2O, I think we are in the wrong direction. Water has life. So women can understand it much better than anybody else.
Absolutely, and very well said, Mansi. Mansi, if I remember, we were having a conversation about some project on the riverfront and you mentioned riverfront. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you did with the Namami Gange project and how you got all these youngsters be a part of it, and how was the journey? Tell me, and how far and how more are we moving on that?
Thank you. The riverfront project is completely different and it's an emotional dark zone for me. So I rather not speak because I can really go on and on what not to do in the riverfront. But coming to the Ganga project, it's a project ongoing, and we are actually given a project from CGAP, which is Center for Global Affairs and Policy. And the project is on mapping, or let's say tracking plastic pollution in Ganga. And we have identified some locations where we are going to take up, research on mapping and tracking and measuring basically the pollutant in terms of plastic which is available in Ganga. And interestingly, that's a model which is taken up from a National Geographic project which was done in 2019 on sea to source. And we are just basically taking a step further or building on that body of knowledge which was already done, and really looking at the social aspects of it. So in the previous project, it is already measured how much plastic Ganga produces. And to my shocking surprise, because I never worked in Ganga before this project, Ganga is the second largest polluter in terms of plastic which it brings to the ocean or sea. So the quantification is already done in the part one, and now in part two, where we are trying to build on the knowledge, we are looking at why this plastic pollution is there, what can be done, what are the startups which are working on it, and how can we really set up a platform to bring up collaboration between local authorities and the startups, because startups are looking for experimentation grounds to upscale, and local authorities are looking for good startups to really take up their cities' painful problems, like Haridwar and Rishikesh. So interesting part of the project is also because we are taking the clue from the National Geographic project is my team is also all women team, like the previous team. So I have picked up most of the girls, not most, in fact, all the girls are from Wiki Water Resource Council. And that was, I think, the least I could do as a council member, that I can really showcase how collaborative work can be done. So all the young girls are from the Wiki Water Resource Council. Over to you.
Amazing, amazing, and amazing stamina you have. You've been like traveling like forever and ever.
Yes.
Every time I call you, you are in some different place and speaking to some different person. You're with some wiki member or some water expert. So when you travel so much, Mansi, what is it? What are those little pearls of wisdom that you have gathered from various parts? Because, water woes are not the same. What we
Yes.
see in Delhi, it's not the same in Ahmedabad, it's not the same in Calcutta. So can you just help us understand through your journeys how you would look at water? What do you feel is like, what hits where? Kind of a thing. If you understand what I mean is, what are the issues that people grapple with at different places? And what are these women from Wiki, WRC, and you helping them build together? So can you just talk about it? And how do you find a balance? Because you are, with your own personal work, Wiki, and your consultancies. So it's a two-forked question, so it's a lot of things. So tell me about your travel, your pearls of wisdom you have gathered, and how do you find a balance?
Thank you. I see my travel as flowing, जहाँ जगह मिलती है बहने लग जाते हैं पानी के जैसे, I am water kind of things. Yes, but traveled over 100 cities around the world, and also more than 100 cities in India. Definitely a lot of, understanding about people and places there in the head, which I also try to exchange with people, especially the young scholars and all. And I think a common pattern, I will not say there are many differences in the water woes across the places where I have traveled. And as I mentioned, the biggest learning for me is water management, is people management. Honestly speaking, in the last 10 years, I have also changed the way I look at things. I'm not really worried about water much. I'm worried about people, because we are the ones who are destroying. So an important learning for me from meeting many people around the world, because most of the time when I'm traveling, I also want to share with you that it is always invited travel. So I can't really do travel on my own. So I just build it around to do a little bit more things around it. And also I build the travel plan. So if I wish to go somewhere, I inform my network, and they are happy to host me. So I'm blessed with very good friends, first of all. And I think building that social capital has been a biggest asset since my PhD, as a learning that water management is social management. And so when I'm traveling, I find the biggest challenge we face is that we come together and decide about the problem. So understanding the problem is a problem. So that's a governance problem. So governance of understanding, and the governance of problem itself, that have we identified the right problem? So giving an example from lake and river again, if we think that we need to have lake full of water or river full of water, our understanding of lake and river already is wrong. And this understanding comes again from the people who are sitting in that room or who are sitting in that collective. And I think this is where it is extremely important that we have a gender balanced kind of team when these kind of things are discussed. That is also missed. Whenever I'm traveling, I'm always, one or two women in a group of 10 or 20 men. And this is where the discourse completely shifts on the other side, where the whole focus is on क्या क्या करना है, बहुत कुछ करना है, इतना budget आया है, इसको spend कैसे करना है, and all those kind of things. Then in all this process, the whole empathy towards biodiversity, which for me is the biggest asset in any water system you want to work on, is missed out. So this is a common problem I feel across the country. But when I say that I traveled outside also and looking at these concerns, I see a slight change there. Also probably because the composition of people who are sitting in that group or in that meeting or conference or workshop is different. And this is where I think at Wiki Water Resource Council, we are also trying to really increase the presence and participation of women. I'm not really looking at increasing women are doing more work in water. I feel we are already many women doing more work in water, but are we there at the right place at the right time? So when the decisions are made, who decided that 100 riverfronts are to be done? There were no women in that. I went there 1 month ago when this decision was done, and on the dais, they were all men. Can we change this over the time? So for me in India, this biggest problem actually in doing any kind of projects is being woman. And I have faced it in my own life, even in the previous time when I was associate with my own office. I'm still there, but not in that associate realm when I'm going to run around and just stand behind my own husband and everybody sees me as his assistant. So I have gone past that role. But even if there are this kind of situation, even if you want to voice something as a woman, it is unheard, and it is still unheard. I'm aware of it, even if we see many women in Delhi. So what can you do? I mean, either you scream or you step aside and do something more in the scholarship zone where I, rest my work. That one thing is managing the resource itself, but the other thing is managing the knowledge of the resource. So I chose to actually work on managing the knowledge of the resource because that's a weaker part in our society, I must say. How many Indian scholars are publishing good in the water sector? I have deep concern. There is no architecture and planning school, even at this point when we talk, Swayam, that is teaching water as a subject. They are still teaching, of course, waterscape development, but that waterscape development comes from the model of Sabarmati riverfront development, and I have a serious concern on that. If that is the starting point, then I think it is better not to teach. So we are really far away from this, again, because the gender balance in both academics and practice is not there. If women are heard, we are better off.
Absolutely, Mansi, absolutely. And definitely, these riverfronts and all, they need a little bit more thinking, a bit more planning. And I'm sure, if women sit there, they can do a better designing job. And
Absolutely.
And they don't have to be from very big institutes. The local community.
You don't need.
Yeah, the local community, women can actually do a lot of it. And they can teach you a lot and they'll tell you what and how. So I totally agree with you. And that brings me to another part of your engagement is, I know that you've been trying to also scale up the work that Vicky has been doing to various forums. And you're also trying to take it out into the international media and trying to bring a lot of our women speakers to come and speak. So you are also helping them amplify the voices. And how are you doing it? And what is it up your sleeves now? And there's so many events that's slotted. So tell us about it and what's up your sleeves now?
Interesting. Yeah, we have to be aspiring when we form this council, we have to have good plans. And we started with a few, regional workshops, and there is one we are already planning for November. And I think today morning itself, I had a call, and I'm very, very blessed to share with all of you that almost 2 or 3 Wiki women are talking to me on a daily basis. And for me, that's a big achievement in 1 year. I will be very honest. 90% of the women in the Wiki Water Resource Council, I didn't even know them a year ago. And now I speak to at least 2 or 3 women almost every day. So today itself, there was another regional workshop discussed in the morning. But apart from the regional workshops, we are definitely in the CV's World Water Week Forum this year. You are part of the panel. Fawzia is part of the panel, and we have young scholars also. Anubhuti and Harshita is going to help us. And I think these are little ways as we are leading the council, we can show how we can work together, And as I mentioned, my biggest concern in Wiki Water Resource Council or Water Resource Council in general, Water Collective, is the presence and participation of women. So I really want to encourage more and more women to make themselves visible, because I realize that there are many women who are doing exemplary work. Unfortunately, they are not taking out time to document and disseminate their own work. They think that it is self-promotion, and I completely disagree on that. It's about learning and sharing. Because if they are not sharing, we are losing 2 things. One, definitely the institutional memory, but another thing we are losing is the presence of role model in the sector. Unless and until younger generation looks at, yes, there are women leaders, we can look up to them. There are women who are working on these sectors. I don't think more women will be encouraged in future, first thing. Second thing, I don't think more men will be really mentally prepared to accommodate more women. So for me, for 2 years agenda, I have a simple tagline: partnership for leadership. So, I am really not concerned what work one woman does in her own water sector, because they are expert in their own sector. But are they doing enough to promote their work? Are people aware of their work? Can they really do something more so that people know, so the policy works know? So with this, I wrote a long proposal to CV, to be honest, to support Wiki Water Resource Council, and the conversation is going on with them for nearly 9 months now. But they were kind enough to, recognize the effort, and they decided to support us for the World Water Week. So that's an immediate event coming next week. So nervous as well as excited. I mean, we all 3 of us have to be nervous, Fawzia, me and you. And then next we are planning a big congregation to get more and more women on board, and planning a national event of Water Resource Council. But that is not limited to women, but it will be organized by Women and Wiki Water Resource Council. And we are planning it in Odisha with Mamta Mohapatra, and aiming to get Honorable President of India with us, because she is also very much inclined on water matters, Coming from a humble background, she has spoken a lot about water. So we want to get her. And I think that will be a very important moment for all the Water Resource Council women to feel self-motivated. And also, this doubt in ourselves, that's all the time we are trying to, see whether we are doing right, whether we are doing enough to be in that race in the society. And I think that doubt has to go out from all of us. And personally, I strongly believe that doing less is more, because if all these men are doing so much of work all the time and destroying the planet, destroying the city, destroying the social fabric, better not to do. it's not a men's panel and discussion on men, but trust me, I believe if all the men can really get inside the home by 6 p.m., the planet will be saved, and they sleep by 9 p.m. and get up at 5 p.m. to do their household chores and sports, because women do that, you know. So, so anyway, jokes apart, but yes, I'm looking forward to these few interactions. But apart from that, the Ganga project is going on, and I'm really trying hard that all our Wiki women try to do some collaboration. We did a small collaborative work in Hyderabad, cleaning and all. So we have to try. There is no other way. And we don't have to try the masculine way. We have to really try in the eco-feministic approach.
Absolutely. But Mansi, I have come across men also who are professionals and who have contributed a lot to the case of water, to bring women to contribute. And I think they also need an applause, and they need a lot of support from all of us, because it's not very easy to talk about women issues, gender issues, women leadership. And these are still evolving, especially in India, South Asia, and many regions across the world. It's still evolving. And even in the West, there is a resentment of sorts to when they talk about women leadership and things like that. So probably in that constraints, we are all working. So what
it's a work in progress, yes.
Yeah, it's all a work in progress. And I just wanted to touch upon this, that what are the constraints that you as an individual, as a professional, you have faced, because it's a man's world, right? And
yes, absolutely.
Still listen to a woman.
I still face it, by the way.
And nobody wants to listen to some sense given by a woman, even if she's right. So, in the rural areas, it's very tough. But also with us, with professionals who have studied, who have grown, who have put in years of work at various levels. So there are still constraints. So let's talk about these constraints that you have faced, and how do you overcome them? Like, what do you do about it?
Okay, interesting questions. I'll take the first part first. Yes, indeed, there are very, sensitive men around, and we are also blessed with good friends like them. And I will be very happy to share with all here that actually we now invited people like Chandrasekhar Jayaraman and Vishal Narayan, Suresh, Vijay Thomas to be part of our advisory of Wiki Water Resource Council, and they have really accepted with open arms, because they have been mentoring me since this whole conversations have started. So I thought, why not invite them, and there are many other. We know Pranjal is there, we know Anjal is there. They have been talking about day in and out about the presence of women in the water sector. So yes, it is not that only men, but women are also need to be discussed. But I think a bigger correction which requires in the gender discourse, or let's say gender pedagogy, is that gender is not about women. Have we discussed men enough? What wrong they are doing in the society? I think it is high time. Even if we talk about the good men, I'm not saying the others are bad, but then we really need to start naming and shaming the wrongdoings in the society. And most of the time it is by men, whether we like it or not. So that rests there. So coming to my own personal problems, I've, like many other women, and including you and me, we all go through this kind of situations in our own life. I have a video already, I think, in public on women in architecture, why I was pushed to deviate in the water sector, and I was very happy to step aside from the line and get into the water sector without really an ounce of doubt, because I was not believing so much in building. It was again a full men thing where I was equally part of the office, but when it used to be meetings, when it used to be site visits and all other major decisions, which project to take, which funds to get, where will the fund come and all, I was always not at the benefiting end. And that made me think a lot. And I think the change came from home itself, and I was pushed to so much at a dead wall that I had to really decide what next, because it's not about identity. It is about my freedom to do what I like to do and express what I think about the world. And I think PhD came at a right time with full funding. So that helped me to, explore my own potential, and also got the opportunity to travel around the world to understand how world should be looked at, and not really looked at in the way yes sir and no sir, the way we do in this country. Jaise funding aata hai, yes sir and no sir. So many of the projects which have come to me, developmental project, unfortunately, I had to refuse in the beginning as part of patriarchal decisions back in office, or in the whole setup of a context. But later on, when I was really getting some foothold for my own self and working, um, many of the projects I declined. Because I give a very simple example, two examples actually. One came with a neta came with to me with a big money and asked to do a lake development, and he had a big plans in his own head कि यहाँ pathway बनेगा, यहाँ झूला लगेगा, यहाँ ये लगेगा, यहाँ island बनेगा, आप बस बना दो. So I had to really say, सर आपने तो सब कर ही लिया है, मुझे ड्राइंग बनाने के लिए क्यों बुला रहे हैं? आपका ड्राफ्ट्समैन तो इससे कम पैसे में कर देगा. Just to give an example. So I personally, I am not really appreciating people who come with a heavy hand on me. I have many colleagues now working with me at W4W and otherwise also in other social activities. I believe in working in a collaborative and empowering mode. I don't like, too much of bossing around. I don't like to be boss, and I don't wish to be bossed by anybody. And that has been my biggest negative point, I must say, where many projects fall apart in my case, and so because of the value system I like to hold. And another project which came to me was, you just do it the way we are saying. I said, no, I can't do it the way you are saying. I will rather not do it. And I think the mindset in which the projects come is also, to me, masculine. Sorry, I'm too much about this masculine and feminine approach, because I think I have gone through too much of grill, and I'm not willing to accept any of the this kind of, I will say, suppression to the thinking of women. So I have lost more projects in last many years than I have gained projects. And I will definitely attribute it to the way the society works in a very patriarchal manner. The very development discourse is economic. So in one project, the second example which I wanted to give, again, local authority came with a big money to ask me to do a lake development. I said, you give me that money and I will maintain this lake for 10 years. Why do you want me to spend in 1 year? I did not receive the project, of course. So what I'm trying to tell you is, there are easy ways, simple ways to work on water, but unfortunately, we want to take a complicated route. We want to spend more money. We want to destroy the ecology. And then we talk at home, and then we talk at many platforms. So we did a lot of work. I think spiritually, I'm quite clear in that I make bigger contribution by not doing wrong things and just, watching people doing wrong things and screaming about it. And I think screaming has been an important part of my career or life now. I write a lot. And there are not many people who have written against riverfront development in the country. And if there are few, I am among those few who have written against it, that it should not be done because we are really killing our rivers. So this is just to give you an example. And I think these are all coming from experiences. But I don't think 10 years ago, I could have, just stand and say that, oh, this is wrong. I think I have gained that confidence with PhD, working with Nobel laureate, traveling around the world, looking at people, talking to many women for that matter. So I know that there is some truth in what I'm saying, and not many women are able to speak about it. I don't care if people don't like what I say. So that also helps, but that is a negative side where not many people would like to work with me. But I think I'm happy, I'm contented, and my hands are full, because now I create the work I would like to do, and my scholars are helping, my friends are helping, and I think that's good enough. Nobody told to do Wiki in this manner, the way we are doing, but we are doing it. And I'm sure we are going to take it very long in many years to come. Sorry, I got
Absolutely.
emotional, because these are very difficult questions.
Oh, no. But these are very important to address as well, you know. Accepting these things is very tough, very difficult. And I do agree, we don't have to say yes to everything.
Yes,
I, as a person, probably um, from a long, long time, I think over 20 years now, since we started talking about interlinkages of rivers, I have
yes,
been quite skeptical about it. And I did voice my concerns from a very conservation, habitat conservation, ecosystem, uh, from that perspective. But there were few takers, you know, people don't
yes.
listen. People do
There's
what
no
they.
kharcha, no. Swam, there is no kharcha, so there is no commission. Then people are not interested.
Yeah, so you know, you're often pushed to a corner, and then you're like, okay, let it be. When the time comes, I'll speak again. But you know, we are also surrounded by youth, and that gives me a lot of hope that
Yes,
the next generation, the younger generations, are really going to take it forward. And we have Anubhuti here, and we have other colleagues who are such young enthusiasts, and they would like to take our work forward, and which is so much of a hope for the planet for us, right? So with that,
yes.
I hand this over to Anubhuti. So let's hear some youth voices. Over to you,
Sure,
Anubhuti.
sure. I'm excited.
Thank you so much, Swayam ma'am, for taking the conversation forward. I think I really enjoyed seeing Mansi ma'am on the other side of the conversation. To take it forward, Mansi ma'am, I have seen you over the years engaging with all the youth. How did you decide to like start the EDRC fellow? Like I've seen how actively you have been part of all our journeys. And I mean, in this age, we always talk how time is money. And I've seen you spending a lot of hours talking to us, telling us how to go forward with our career or any even small details. So how have been your journey throughout this? What were your learning experiences? How did you decide to do this fellowship for the youth? What was your motivation toward it?
Thank you, Anubhuti. Thank you so much for this question. And this question is very close to my heart. I feel that I would have been someone else if I was mentored well in my youth. The amount of fire I had in my belly, I was not really guided well. I must say that. So that way, I feel little bit, disadvantaged in life. But having said that, I feel also very advantaged in the way I look at the youth today, all of you. My parents never interfered in the way I conducted my life, and my husband also never interfered. So that was a big advantage, that I could, fall and also learn how to rise. And there was nobody to really hold hand or fingers. But what I learned in this process is that if everybody has to go through the way I have gone, probably there are two women who are writing, by the way, biography on me. So one in Hindi and one in English. So hopefully they will be done soon. But if I have to go through this kind of grill, and if every younger generation has to go through, and I want to share a very personal anecdote from here, that I chose not to have a child in my life. And that was a precondition when I got married. But when I was really getting into the midlife, and I realized that, oh my God, it took me 20 years to come to this level of confidence where I can say that I like to do this. This is my worldview. This should not be done. And I can stand up and say on the face of a person that this is wrong. This is wrong for the society. It took me 20 years to come to that stage. I feel that I could have done it 3-4 years after, after my initial studies, if I was given enough guidance. And I should not have gone through the grill which I have gone through in the career. And I feel that is where, if we can mentor younger generation, I think they can reduce this time. So what I could do in 20 years, I have not done many big work. And the biggest thing for me is, whenever everybody asks, I say I don't do anything. And I think now I strongly believe that's a big contribution to the society, because I don't go out and make those river fronts and lake fronts. If I can mentor some of the fellows who are now my friends, you are an integral part of my life now. I feel that they can reduce those 20 years to 2 years to 5 years. And I think that's a big gain, because you can become a game changer to stop the wrong thing. See, doing everything is not important, but it is equally important to stop what is happening wrong. And I personally have taken that path. I don't encourage my younger generation friends to take that path, to really go and start stopping people to do wrong things, but at least gain that confidence in less than half the time, in quarter the time, to really stand up and present your worldview, to be able to express yourself. So I started this Responsible Citizen Fellowship in 2003. That time I myself was not that old, but I decided to use part of my earnings to really mentor. So it was, the money was not important. It is still not a big money, you know that. But for me, the amount of time I give, which I could have, it's an opportunity cost. I could have used it to earn money, but I chose to use that time to mentor youth so that they reduce their mistakes, they reach faster to wherever they would like to reach aspirations. And I think that that gives me a lot of satisfaction now. I mean, personally, I don't even recall that if I even had any aspirations. I still don't have any aspiration to become DG or MD or blah blah blah. I never had those aspirations in life, and that kept me very contented, to be honest. But can I teach that to young people? I think you people are too young to say that don't run in the rat race. But still, I try indirectly to tell you that don't run in the rat race, because you are much better if you are not in that race, because you can be creative, you can be more productive to the society. See, you don't need accolades today. You don't need to be patted every day. But yes, in a younger generation, you require. And I also had the same feeling when I got into water sector. But if the youth are looking for some direction, the least one can do offer is time. And time is the most precious thing, by the way. And if I can offer some time to others, I feel the purpose of life is solved. Otherwise, I don't see a purpose of life in going out every morning and, the person who is even planting trees is doing good work. The person who is paving the pathway is doing good work, or cleaning the sewer is doing a good work. Similarly, the person who is building others' life is equally good work. And I think I find quite a lot of reflection or reflective moments when I'm interacting with youth. And importantly, why they have to really suffer and go here and there and go through that whole grill and decide about life, decide about career. Why not just give them some time? So I'm just lending my ears. I'm not deciding for them, I'm just lending my ears and giving a part of my life, or part of my time. And I think this is extremely important. There is no measurement how much you gain, but actually when I'm giving scholarship to every scholar, I make them realize that measurement. I tell them that if I'm spending with you, there is an economic price to it. So if I'm giving you lesser scholarship, you can calculate that price and add on to your scholarship amount, and that's your salary from mine. So I'm making that very clear to it so that nobody takes me for right, because I had enough in my life when people took me for a ride, but then I learned. So when I'm engaging with the youth, I'm really trying to tell them the nuances where they can be better. And importantly, my mission is to really help them have a research attitude, not a consultant attitude, because I have been on both sides. So I feel if you are into that research mode, you are more empathetic to planet, you're more empathetic to society. I don't do it directly to all of you, but I try to tell indirectly that do it this way and be more organized in little things. And I think this is the least you can contribute to the society, What more?
Right. Thank you, Mansimam. I think even though all your fellows know all these things that you just mentioned, but I think putting it down here when you are telling all these things means a lot. Like, being a fellow myself, I know how much times we come back to you with all our queries and how much time you give to us. So it's like, that's why I said time is money. And like you mentioned, definitely. So if you had to tell to the youth who are joining the water sector, what would be your message to them? Anything that you would like to tell them if they are joining the water sector? Any message that you would like to share to them?
Interesting question. I would like everybody to work in the water sector, to be honest. Everyone should spend 70% of their day, of their life, talking about water, thinking about water in a good way, because we have 70% water. So why to just stay away from ourselves, So an important message to all my young friends, because I have more young friends nowadays than in the past, that please be honest whatever you do. It's not about being in the water sector. First of all, just being honest itself makes a huge difference in what you can contribute. So there is no harm saying no to something which you don't believe in. Much of the time we accept many things because we feel that we are financially burdened, or we have to earn, or we have to reach somewhere because my friend has reached. Trust me, the turtle won the race. So at the end of the day, so never forget that. But coming to the water sector, mark my words, whether you like it or not, you will be doing water related activities in future, because you will have no choice. You will literally have no choice. The way water crisis is rising, the way social unrest is rising, you will be required then. Maybe you are not asked today to work on that, but people will come back to you. I'm sure about that. And an important thing which many of you may do that is related to my research subject area is probably I stopped doing things. Probably your generation will start doing the de-development. All this development which my generation is happily doing, unfortunately, from all these loan money, all these Delhi ka money, with all these big policies and projects, your generation, by the time you reach my age, you will be undoing many of the things. So start looking for entrepreneurship, employment in de-development. And whenever you talk about it, you are actually in the ecosystem zone. And please understand, conservation also requires experts. Conservation also requires money. And not many people are exploring it, So if you really want to contribute anything to the society, you cannot escape working in the water sector. Whether you are a medical practitioner, you will work on water epidemics. Whether you are a lawyer, you will work on ecological cases. There are cases now which are running against riverfront, and I will live to that day to say that riverfront is broken in my life. And your generation is going to do that, I can tell you in writing. So please look at alternate opportunities. Don't run the rush which has been set by my generation. Try to find alternate path and step aside from the race. That will be, I think, my biggest takeaway for younger generation. Be honest and just step aside. Don't need to run the rush. I have lived for 30 years doing this, and I'm contented. End of the day, you have to sleep well. Remember that. You don't sleep well, you are full of diseases. When you do other kinds of things, you are full of tension. So just stay cool. Imagine yourself as a stone in this planet who is silent, slow. Imagine yourself as water who is reflective, who is with open arms, taking everybody in with themselves. No need to be big people. We don't need to be big people. Just be ordinary. No need to be extraordinary person. Thank you.
Right,
Great.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am, please.
Great thoughts, Mansi. And I think we have also just about reached our time.
Yes.
So I would take that as your closing thoughts, or anything, one sentence, a phrase that you'd like to wrap up this session with, Mansi.
Yes, I would like to bring a line or maybe 2 lines, that please imagine yourself as water. So, and I think I say this to all my fellows, but that the water that flows in you also flows in me. And if you really want to do something, it is also flowing in the drain and the river outside. So it's same water. And imagine your potentials from this Rumi's line. We are a drop in the ocean, but in that drop, we have the capacity of an ocean. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mansi. This has been a very heartwarming, very illuminating, and very enriching session. And I thoroughly enjoyed having this conversation with you, Mansi. Many questions still lie with me. So I'm looking forward to another session with you, which is
Yeah,
going to be
maybe.
more fun. Which is going to be more fun.
Yeah,
And
we can do more joint talking, because there are people here, Fauzia, Harshita, Monica are also there.
absolutely, absolutely. And we should look forward to more such sessions where we are talking from our heart. And when
Yes.
we are talking not only to our peer group, but also to the young and to people around. So Fazia, would you have anything to add to what I just said? Over to you.
Oh, I really, switched on my video because I thought it was coming to an end. And I really wanted to congratulate Mansi for all the amazing work she has been doing. She has been actually blessed with, what can I say, unimaginable energy. And I think she has been a prime mover for a lot of activities. I think very fearless, very, very fearless is something that I wanted to say. Not many people have the guts to really come up and speak their heart. And she's been, regardless of all the threats that are going around, she has been doing fearless writing. And I salute her for that. I think it's been amazing. I've known Mansi now for, I think, 4 years, 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, and I think it's been an amazing, a friend. I would say more than anything else. I think, water is the common thread. Yeah.
Yes, water connects.
We have been great friends. So thank you so much, Mansi. Just be the way you are. You're so good, huh? You don't need to change ever. Huh?
No more. It's too old to change now, Fazia.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mansi, Anubhuti, Fazia. This has been a great session. And I personally enjoyed this conversation with you, Mansi. More part to you, and we are all with you in this.
Yeah, we are all together. Thank you, Swam. Thanks for the questions. And we are all together in it. Huh? Over to you, Anubhuti.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining.
Thanks a lot. So, Anubhuti, you have the rights, huh? Because you are the host now.
Good, I think.
Nice.
How am I supposed to?
Okay, I should reclaim the host because I think you are unable to do that. I have reclaimed the host, don't worry.